really well in steadily
champion bumper, and as they walk at a pleasingly sedate pace toward the starting tape, we will join our race caller, Stuart Machin.
And let's hope it remains as sedate as this, Nick, for the final approach. They are still probably the thick representatives. They're off, and they've been let go some 200 yards almost back from the starting tapes. They're only about to pass the starter now. And the early leader is heads up in the black and pink to one of the greys, He Can't Dance, the white cap just in behind him. Calypso Chance, the maroon and white, the star on the cap is Handy. White-faced Caballero Cliff racing enthusiastically just behind the leaders, with the other of the greys, No Drama, this end in the green and white. Sortudo away to the left, just ahead of midfield. Black and yellow soaks for Sortudo, racing advance of Dalston Lad, who's got a pink cap. Idaho Sun, the orange and green on the cap in mid-division. Shuttle Diplomacy, green cap away to the right, is tracked there by Lancelot Allen and El Cairo in the red and brown under David Maxwell. Bambino Fever on the extreme left of the group in behind horses White-Faced Chestnut under Jody Townend, being slipstreamed by Copacabana. Then I started a joke in the sheepskin noseband, who's in the last group of four, with Game of Inches, the striped sleeves, Aqua Force with a flashy white face, the white cap last but one, and Fortune de Mer is last of all as they meet rising ground with about 10 or 12 lengths covering the field, and it's Heads Up and Sean Bowen who give a lead to He Can't Dance, followed by owner mate Calypso Chance racing in third. Then Caballero Cliff in fourth, just ahead of No Drama this end and Sortudo from Idaho Sun and Shuttle Diplomacy on the inner. Working back then to Dalston Lad and El Cairo from Lancelot Allen and Bambino Fever. Copacabana, the red sleeves and cap is held up ahead of on the inside Game of Inches. And then working back to Aqua Force and I Started a Joke, and Fortune de Mer remains at the tail of the field. Flattening out at the foot of the descent, and they move relatively steadily on towards the halfway point, and the field just begins to concertina a little. It's Heads Up in front to He Can't Dance, the white cap sitting in second, Caballero Cliff racing on the near side of Calypso Chance third and fourth. Then No Drama this end, the light green sleeves to Idaho Sun, the orange and green cap, and the green cap on the near side of Shuttle Diplomacy. Sortudo out wide in a black and yellow jacket ahead of Bambino Fever and Dalston Lad. And then Copacabana, the keen-going Game of Inches, who's under heavy restraint from Paul Townend, the striped sleeves. Lancelot Allen is right around the inner three-quarters of the way back. Aqua Force, white cap, is probably just about deepest of all, remains towards the rear of the field with the nose banded I Started a Joke, and Fortune de Mer remains last of the 17 as Heads Up takes them across the top of the track and well beyond halfway in the Weatherbys champion bumper. Heads Up has had the run of things so far. He Can't Dance remains in second ahead of Caballero Cliff, and then just in behind the leading trio, Calypso Chance and Danny Gilligan in fourth place. Shuttle Diplomacy has the rail as they begin the descent alongside No Drama this end, Sortudo in the black and yellow, then Idaho Sun and El Cairo in the red and brown, and Lancelot Allen on the extreme right running on down the hill, the pink sleeves. Further back in the field, Copacabana is out wide, red sleeves is following through the white-faced Bambino Fever. Fortune de Mer is on the move from the rear, the pink and blue towards the out of a Harry Skelton. Game of Inches being finessed into it. Aqua Force though is detached and ridden along in last place, 6 or 7 lengths behind them. They're about to run the final turn. They're deep inside the last half mile in the Weatherbys champion bumper. Heads Up, He Can't Dance the grey, then Calypso Chance, No Drama this end, Sortudo in the black and yellow, widest of all into the straight Bambino Fever. Caballero Cliff is cutting the corner to El Cairo, Shuttle Diplomacy, and then Sortudo uphill towards the last furlong and a half, and it's still Heads Up in front, made every inch, but here comes Bambino Fever under Jody Townend, and Bambino Fever now drawing alongside Heads Up. El Cairo running on in behind Caballero Cliff and Shuttle Diplomacy. Bambino Fever and Jody Townend. Willie Mullins again in the champion bumper. Bambino Fever beats Heads Up, Shuttle Diplomacy, and Caballero Cliff close up.
A 14th, count them, 14 wins in the champion bumper for Willie Mullins. It is the mare that's done it this time. Bambino Fever, who was successful at the Dublin Racing Festival, has come through to win again under Jody Townend. This daughter of Jukebox Jury remains unbeaten after 4 starts. She was vying for favouritism. Eventually, she went off 4-1 and chalked up another Townend on the Cheltenham honours board. Really smart performance.
It really was, Nick. Brilliant for Jodie Townend. She was very good on her. She rode her to win the Grade 2 race at the Dublin Racing Festival, the bumper there, and she's got the ride again today, kept the ride and delivered her again towards the outside. Heads Up ran a massive race. John McConnell's horse in front and looked like he had them all on the stretch turning for home, but Jodie Townend just got Bambino Fever rolling towards the near side, and yeah, she's been really, really good.
Patrick Mullins among the first to congratulate Jodie Townend. He rode Copacabana, who ultimately was well beaten. Heads Up gave a massive sight and really opened this race up. John McConnell and Sean Bowen going agonisingly close to his first festival winner, but Jodie Townend wasn't to be denied. That is a humongous run from Robert Stevens' horse, Caballero Cliff, who has, I think, just been edged out of third place in the end. Indeed, he has been edged out of third, but it is victory for Willie Mullins for the 14th time in this race, Chris.
Yeah, phenomenal record in the race. Obviously had an awful lot of horses going into it. This was the horse that, on form, had achieved the most with that win on his most recent start, and he had a good bit of experience as well. A win in a point-to-point, 2 wins in bumpers, including in that Grade 2. He's towards the outside of the field at this point, or she is, I should say, and she's found plenty for pressure late on. Keep an eye on David Maxwell's horse.
El Kairos has run a massive race.
Yeah, he really has. He's hanging to his left a little bit all the way up the straight and not fully helping his rider, but definitely moves into it really well, and he's got a good bit of ability, and he was just a bit short of room up the straight, but he's run a really good race in defeat, and he looks like a nice prospect.
I didn't think it was a bumper that was run at quite as frenetic a pace as it sometimes is. Sean Bowen on the eventual runner-up is in the lead here. In the eventual third, you can see on the inside, ground-saving green cap, that Shuttle Diplomacy, who's run huge for Tom Cooper, who won this race with Total Enjoyment many years ago.
He did, yeah, no, he did. Shuttle Diplomacy has run a big race. Heads Up has run a massive race as well, and Heads Up actually finished second behind Calypso Chance in that Navan bumper the last day. He didn't have that much to find on him, and John McConnell's horse has run a big race. Really good ride by Sean Bowen. He got in front and he kind of stacked them up in behind, but all the while Jodie Townend making her ground wide and going a little bit wider on the run down to that home turn, but had clear sailing, and she knew she had the mare in order to get it there as well.
She was just getting shunted out from underneath Danny Mullins and Sortudo, wasn't she? And probably a little wider than ideally she wanted to be.
Yeah, maybe a wee bit wider, but she's got clear sailing and into the home straight. You probably want to be towards the near side in the home straight here, especially on the last day of the last race of the day. And she's got plenty of ground to make up on heads up there, but. And Heads Up isn't stopping. He's keeping on going. He's picking up from the front, and Bambino Fever has to go and get him, and she does. And the fact that he's kept on well enough to retain the runner-up spot, that shows you that she had to go and get him and go past him.
It's a monster run from Caballero Cliff in 4. El Kairos is 5th. Idaho Sun's done some very nice late work into